Ba, 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 ba. Mm.
Sir, would you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Scott Cowden,
And where do you work?
Chandler Fire Department.
How long have you worked there?
Almost 26 years.
And talk to you a little bit about what firefighters do. Do you just respond to fires, or are you also responsible for something else?
No, the majority of our job is going to be EMS medical calls.
What kind of training do you have to work as a firefighter and deal with medical calls?
When you're hired, you're going to go through an academy that will certify you as a state firefighter. Typically, you're going to already be certified as an EMT. And then during the course of your career, I went to paramedic school and graduated from that in probably 2007.
Can you tell us what the difference is between a paramedic and an EMT?
EMT would just be kind of the more basic, kind of entry level position. Paramedic is more advanced, so you have more advanced training. There's more advanced skills that you could perform. Some of our equipment would only be able to be used and utilized and performed by a paramedic.
As both a EMT or a paramedic, are you trained to perform CPR?
Yes.
And can you tell us, have you ever been a CPR instructor yourself?
Yes, I was a CPR instructor for probably over 12 years.
Was that for other firefighters?
I was certified through American Heart Association, a contract employee with Dignity Health. They have a variety of different classes that could be for just the lay rescuer, lay person that wants to know how to do CPR. They have classes that might be for certain businesses that want their employees. And then there's healthcare provider classes that it could be firefighters, nurses that are attending to be recertified. Every 2 years, you have to have that certification recertified.
Can you tell us what CPR is?
It stands for cardiopulmonary resuscitation. So you're kind of acting as the heart. The heart has stopped beating, so no blood is flowing through the body. You're doing chest compressions on the chest, and you're pumping and pushing that blood to the body.
When would you give CPR to a person?
If they don't have a pulse, you confirm that just by checking for a pulse, and you don't feel that, the heart isn't beating, and you would need to start chest compressions.
What is the point of that, of doing those chest compressions? You said moving the blood through the body. Why?
You're trying to give them a chance, increase their chance of survival. I don't know what maybe the latest numbers and statistics might say, but in the past I've seen that if somebody's starts CPR within the first few minutes, it can double or triple their chances of surviving.
When you are called to a scene, are you guys being given updates by the 911 operator to your dispatch so you know what to expect?
Yeah, so you get dispatched and you already have an idea of the type of call, and then en route we call it PTI, and that will come across the computer screen. And so now you have more information of what you're kind of walking into, so you can kind of game plan it a little bit more.
If somebody calls 911 and doesn't know how to do CPR, what happens?
My understanding is that 911 would talk them through that and give them instructions of what to do.
Okay. When you are giving CPR, you talked about chest compressions. Can you talk to us about, is there any physical identification that you might observe on a person who has had CPR chest compressions?
That I might see
after a person has been given chest compressions?
Yes. So you need to perform it in the right location. position. So it's the lower half of the sternum or breastbone. Um, to kind of find that, it's more helpful if you can see the skin, maybe lift up the shirt. So that's typically something we're going to want to do. If CPR has been done and it's been done effectively enough, you can see almost like a depression or an impression that is left there on the skin, because you need to do it forceful enough and deep enough that you're actually compressing the heart to push the blood.
So you said you might see a depression. Does that not just pop right back out when you stop?
No, you'll still see it. You'll see it like if you stop CPR during the call for whatever reason that it might be appropriate, and then you go back to resuming CPR, you'll see where your hands were. That area can be vulnerable to breaking. Ribs can break during CPR, so there's typically depression in the chest.
Do you ever actually hear anything when you are giving someone chest compressions?
I for sure feel it. I don't know if it's audible enough to hear it, especially with maybe the rest of the commotion that's going on, but you definitely feel that crunch or that crack. I kind of compare it to like if you're cracking your knuckles in your hand or something, your fingers. It kind of feels like something like that, but more extreme, I guess.
And this is something that you have felt multiple times in doing CPR?
Yes, in teaching CPR, you want to forewarn people of that too, that to kind of expect that and not necessarily kind of be alarmed. You don't want them to think they've caused more harm necessarily.
Does that crack or crunch occur each time you restart CPR in the same patient?
No, it's typically just the first couple of times.
Have you previously performed CPR on a person who was shot?
I'm sure I probably have.
When you are performing CPR on a person that's shot, have you ever seen that cause more blood to come out if there are gunshot wounds?
Yes, I've been on some scenes where it's been a little more bloody, so to speak. You have to be cautious of where you're stepping, or if you're kneeling down by the patient's side to perform the CPR, you're trying to be careful of that.
I want to bring you to July 11th of 2019, a call to 5531 South Four Peaks Place. Do you recall this incident?
Yes,
Do you still have some independent memory of this?
yes.
Was it the fact that the police interviewed you also make this a more memorable scene?
Yes.
Do you recall when you first got to the scene, did you just drive right up, or how did you guys approach the scene?
Call types like this, we're going to stage and wait for PD to clear the scene so it's safe to enter. So you're going to get into in this particular case, you're going to be in the neighborhood, but you're going to be around the corner, around the block, a street away, whatever kind of might make the most sense based on where we're coming from.
How many people are on a fire engine?
In the city of Chandler, we typically have at least 4 on any of our fire engines and fire ladders.
And what was your role?
So you'll have a captain who's up front. That's the person that's in charge. I'm a fire engineer specifically, so I drive the fire apparatus. And then we'll have 2 firefighters in the back seat.
Do you recall in this case about how far away you were staged?
I mean, from a time standpoint, we might have been 30 seconds away.
Who were the other people on your team that day?
By names?
If you recall.
Okay. Captain Keller, firefighters Kaczynski, and firefighter Fife.
When you arrive at a scene like this, you told us that there's a captain, you're the driver. Does everyone sort of have a job, or how does that work when you first get there?
You typically may kind of talk about roles and what might happen. Also, like in this particular case, this was our first call of the day. So all of our calls, we're going to do documentation and chart it. And so we typically start with the captain will start the first call of the day. So that meant Captain Keller was going to be charting it. So that would leave the other three of us to do the evaluation, assessment, and patient contact and skills.
So when you drove up to the scene, what did you see?
I remember us having to make a turn, and a couple of officers, I feel like, were already there, kind of navigate their cars, position right in front of the house. Saw at least one officer outside, saw a citizen, I feel like probably in the driveway somewhere with that officer. And then we just kind of proceeded out of the apparatus.
When you guys entered the house, you said that Captain Keller was going to be charting. So does that mean he wouldn't be touching the patient?
More than likely not, unless we needed additional help. I mean, he possibly could have been the first one in also. The way we were parked, that passenger side of the fire apparatus was the closest to the front door. He might have been in first, because I'm going to be on the other side. The two firefighters are getting out and going to the back compartment of the truck to get the equipment. So he may have walked up and possibly checked a pulse or something like that first, but he didn't. I don't feel like he did anything else other than that, if that.
Okay. You told us that as you're going there, you're receiving information about the patient, correct?
Correct.
In this case, did you receive any information about whether or not he was receiving CPR?
Yes, I recall we had that info two ways. We had it with the PTI on our computer screen, which would be coming from our fire department dispatch. And then we have the ability to also listen on the radio to the PD channels. And so we can hear communication between the officers that are getting on scene and then the PD dispatch. And they also communicated that at some point in time.
When you entered the house, was there an officer already inside?
I believe there was an officer inside with Captain Keller.
And did you observe anyone giving the patient CPR?
No.
Can you tell us what you saw when you first entered the house?
You walked in the front door, just kind of a little entryway, and it kind of, I feel like it stepped down into maybe a formal kind of family room or something. But
No, welcome in.
with no furniture.
Sound. Normally this reads this loud. I didn't hear it today.
It makes it easier. Like sometimes we're on scenes where a patient could be between a bed and a closet, and you
Welcome
move
in.
somewhere. So those thoughts are already kind of in your mind that you may have to move a patient just to have better access, and that was not.
I do have commissions open. They are open via Ko-fi.
Notice any blood on the scene?
Not until I saw it on the patient's chest, but I didn't see it in the room. It wasn't something that I was going to need to avoid kneeling in to do CPR, avoid standing in, walking around. There's four of us. We probably had at least 4 boxes of equipment in there, so we didn't have to worry about where we
But I do take commissions. Commissions are open,
Have you been
and quick sketches are $1.
that you're trying to
This is a portrait sketch
get in?
Yes.
You told us that
for
you saw blood on the patient.
someone I know
Did you
IRL
see any blood pooling?
that I have to have done by Friday.
I don't
Probably get done by then.
pooling.
I think I have the skin tone
Goes on a
bad
shirt
too
off,
light.
and so it absorbs some blood.
I'll show you an admitted. Exhibit number 3. Do you recall ever seeing this pooling of blood around his neck there?
Welcome in.
Back.
not sure if the mic is reading.
When you first saw the patient, what was your first impression?
That he's lying there unresponsive. You're not seeing any signs of life. You don't see somebody that's maybe moaning from an injury, moving, no spontaneous breathing. What was
M.
your
Young.
question again?
I
Your
did.
first impressions of him as you are walking in and you're
Right.
looking at him in a
Let me
sense.
open up Kofi because
I guess
I haven't gotten an email from them saying I had commissions.
Did you
Normally, Kofi's really good about
deceased?
emailing me.
Lavender cookies.
It's
Hello.
definitely was a
Hello,
possibility.
Lavender.
There was no, like I said, no obvious signs of life.
Yeah, so it must be
Lavender
taking
cookies.
Kofi
Hello.
a second.
When you got into the room, did
It
someone
must be taking Kofi a second for the order to go through because
Charles' side,
none of those.
a more
The last order I have is from July of last year.
So you're checking for responsiveness. You can move the patient. You're going to check for a pulse.
I remember I got that within a couple of hours.
Looking for breathing.
Being made. Hello. How was school today, Lavender?
And
I've subscribed.
we would call him unresponsive and pulseless.
Well,
And
thank you for
subscribed.
apneic, meaning not breathing.
well, thank you for subscribing.
Then I was-
Which one is it reading?
So he wasn't breathing, he had no pulse,
I have two chats
there were no
reading
symptoms.
aloud.
Correct.
I was like, why isn't I hearing it?
You told us that you had received information that someone had been doing CPR prior to your arrival, correct?
Correct.
Did that impact your view of the patient and your decision-making on what you should do next when you see this patient that is lifeless?
I mean, it makes you think that there's
Lavender
increased
cookies.
likelihood that of
I'm on
survival
spring
possibly.
break, KKK.
Oh, woo, spring break. Woo.
You know,
I feel like you just had fall break or
and then we can utilize some of
whatever weird break last week, but alright.
put an
Enjoy your
EKG
spring
machine
break.
to see what the heart is doing. We can look at the rhythm. We wouldn't want to call a patient before like taking some additional steps.
Who performed CPR?
I did.
And I'm gonna put up Exhibit 4 here. Do you recognize who these people are?
Yes.
And who are they?
So standing to the left is Captain Keller. He's documenting. Standing to the right is firefighter Kaczynski. And then kneeling down back towards us is myself. And then kneeling down where you're pointing is firefighter Fife.
When you first began performing CPR, can you tell us what you felt?
So at first, I didn't see a depression that would typically be left from somebody else previously doing compressions. So I thought that was odd considering the information we had en route. I started doing compressions. I felt.
If any of you are wondering what the audio in the background is, that
couple of compressions
is a court case for the Lori Daybell trial happening in Arizona. My nosy ass is like, what's going on in this trial?
Before you evaluated
And they're all the way in Arizona, so their day started on like 1.
If I had to estimate,
I had to wait until like 2 p.m. Eastern
CPR
time
compressions
for the
minute,
court over there to start.
You know, I mean, it probably took them at least 30 seconds to minutes to maybe get in to the house where I was after I entered. You know, they've got to set down that equipment and get some of that out. So I feel like at least a minute is a fair assessment.
what happened next? Is there some way to check his heart to see if there's
Right.
activity, or what do you do?
Yes, so I was doing chest compressions. I remember mentioning, because there's bullet holes going through them, so I remember mentioning to firefighter Kaczynski when she went to cut the shirt to not cut through a bullet hole.
Zero.
So she kind of went along the side. That's exposing the chest, so that way then we can put our heart monitor and perform an EKG on Charles to kind of see what his rhythm is doing. A person can typically still do chest compressions while they're doing that, and they can kind of work around you. But at some point in time, you're going to have to stop. That way, you can just look at what the machine is showing you and telling you.
Was there any heart activity when you put on those EKG?
No, it was what we would call asystole, and it's just a flat line on the
Uh-huh.
screen. There's no electrical activity of the heart.
At some point, you said you saw gunshot wounds. Do you recall how many you saw in the front there?
I saw 2.
Do you ever look to see if there's exit wounds?
We did roll him. I seem to recall and remember that we rolled him my way. I feel like
Girl.
the other 2 firefighters were.
You enjoying the
other
book you
side.
got
Firefighter Kaczynski
from the
was
library?
standing up. I feel like she had a better view of what those look like.
Since you're on
She
spring
looked
break?
my way, but I remember her comment.
That means you got
was 2 wounds.
a lot of time to read,
Backside of the patient.
go over the book of Bill for the 15th or 20,000th time.
So when you say he was rolled towards you, he's rolled towards this mirror over here?
Correct.
Okay. When you had stopped doing the CPR to roll him and he goes back, did you notice the depression in his chest now?
After I resume CPR, yes. It makes it kind of easier to find your landmark, so it's something that you typically look for.
So it was not there when you first started CPR,
Correct.
but it was after you had performed it.
Correct.
Do you wear gloves when you do this?
Yes.
Did you have blood on your gloves after you were doing CPR?
Yes.
You told us that when you first arrived, there was not much concern for having to navigate around blood that might be pooling around the victim, correct?
Correct.
After you had been doing CPR, was there more blood now around the patient?
It's there.
There was definitely more on his chest. More was coming out of the wounds, specifically the one on the chest, from what I recall. The shirt isn't necessarily there to absorb it anymore. We've removed it. I can't recall necessarily on the
Sitting.
ground. I might have been kneeling, but
When you first arrived, did you see any blood exiting the abdomen wound?
I did not.
As you were at this scene, you guys did the EKG. There was no heart activity. What do you do after that?
At some point in time, we just kind of have to look at patient viability, and we're just looking at the facts and how he's kind of presenting. And we're considering time that we've already been on scene, time, staging, responding, all of that. And ultimately, we do have offlines that we follow for different types of medical calls, and we felt that he fell into that category of not being viable and that we could call him on scene.
Now, you talked about you were not staged very far away, correct?
Correct.
Were you staged very long before you pulled up?
I felt like we might have been there for at least a couple of minutes.
Okay. When the patient was rolled, did anyone notice anything about, or did you notice anything about his skin that made you also question perhaps how long it had been since he had been shot?
Yes, it was pointed out because I didn't have a good view of that backside, the skin color, some modeling. There's changes in the skin color that are starting to occur from
Oh, did the court lag? Yep, court's lagging. And the court is loading.
You know, blood
Daring the
hasn't been
officer.
circulating, hasn't been maybe.
Well, firefighting. System. While that loads, let me tell you about Lori Vallow. Lori Daybell. This trial is because she is being tried for conspiracy of murdering her fourth husband. That is what this trial is. They're on first day. They had their opening statements. This, I think, happened in July of 2020. Oh no. 2019. The fourth husband was murdered in 2019. Oh, the stream ended mid-testimony. That is weird. They ended it mid-testimony with that guy. Wonder if it's like an error.
To rub
Give me... Alright. On Crime has it up, so...
Dispatched or not, or just establish the date.
if my paralegal could
On Time has the thing up. I don't know what happened to East Idaho's
refresh your recollection
News's live stream of it.
when you guys ended
On it in the morning. Sure.
any
It was
life-saving
our shift
There
starts
we
at
go.
8 a.m. This
Yeah.
was our first call. I don't remember if you said earlier what time we were dispatched or not, or just establish the date.
If my paralegal could approach with the charting, would looking at the charting help you refresh your recollection as to when you guys ended
Sure.
any life-saving means?
So it looks like our dispatch is 8:37. Looks like we might have made patient contact at 8:45.
I'm happy with this. There is black, and I wanted to have some of that brown shade. Oh. But he naturally
Dispatch unit
has.
will have like times of responding and things like that. Might have an appropriate time on it also that I'm not seeing right here though.
Right.
I'm still.
I feel like the skin tone. I'm gonna drop 8 on the non-lit side.
See our first monitored rhythm.
Yeah, so they're here.
That date time, I see a time of 8:48. So that might have been when we called him. I can see the obvious signs of death that Captain Keller.
Looking so pale. We pull from like the forehead.
Spontaneous circulation, no. So that would probably be.
I don't want to like pull over here where it's all in shadow, and then make him too dark.
Well, let me say, so does it seem about right that you were with this patient for maybe 3 or so minutes? Working.
There we go.
Actively working, I think probably close to 5 minutes.
And once he's called what do you do at the scene? What do you do with all your equipment?
So once he's called, it's kind of a PD scene now. So we're gonna, we're gonna leave the body. We're gonna gather up what we can, our equipment. Sometimes there's some stuff we might need to leave behind that's necessary to leave on the patient. But
So like the EKG monitors that are stuck on him, you leave those on him.
yeah, we can disconnect those exactly and bring the cables with us.
When you told us when you arrived that you noticed a individual with a police officer near the driveway.
Correct.
Did you see that same person still outside when you exited?
Yes.
Did you notice any bleeding or obvious injuries to that person?
No.
Did you make an assumption as to who that was?
Yes, our PTI en route said brother or brother-in-law shot brother, so performing CPR. So you're kind of assuming it's that person.
Okay.
Oh,
In terms of his size,
with the
is he
eyes now.
someone that you talked about people may not be able to always be strong enough or able to perform CPR in a way to cause the depression or that crunching sound, for lack of better term. In your experience, what type of people are we talking about for that?
Yeah, it's just like really dark here.
Are you
Would be
going to draw
surprised that
my
you may not have
art?
seen that
I'm
depression.
not currently doing requests at the moment. I only do commissions. And right now I'm focusing on finishing up this commission right now. My commissions are open on Ko-fi.
Hard enough.
I'll go ahead and drop that in.
Sometimes if a patient is in a bed, so mattress has give to it, compressions won't be as effective. You want to
Need iris layer.
Obviously, he was already on the floor, so that aids chest compressions.
Was there anything about this male that you saw
No.
when you observed him entering or exiting that made you believe that he had been injured?
No.
Based upon your training and experience and what you observed and did in this case, would you agree that the victim, Charles Vallow, was dead before you entered the house?
Yes.
Based upon your training and experience and what you observed and did in this case, would you agree that it was highly unlikely that anyone had performed CPR on Charles Vallow prior to you doing that?
Yes.
I have no other questions, Your Honor.
All right, Cross?
You want me to go now, or it's 4:30? I didn't know if you wanted to.
How long do you anticipate your cross-examination?
It'd take a while, Your Honor.
All right, we'll break for the evening then. We'll need you back here tomorrow morning at 10:30.
Oh, they're breaking for the evening.
All right, we'll release the jury at this time for the evening. We'll resume tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Please remember the admonition.
All rise for the jury.
Woo. They're ending that today. Not sure what time it is over there. But wow. Ending it. What's interesting, Lori Daybell trial in Arizona. Had to go pro se. I mean, she is currently representing herself. Interesting. So we have
Good afternoon, everybody.
coverage from earlier.
Courthouse. Just figured I'd come on and do a quick little update. We have officially begun the Lori Vallow Daybell trial here in Phoenix. Today began with a juror who was late, And so we had to wait for that juror. But then there was also another juror who's apparently brought in a letter from his boss who had concerns about jury duty. And ultimately, the judge ended up dismissing the juror after the prosecution gave opening statements, simply because the juror said that if I serve on this jury, it's going to hurt me financially with child support and alimony. And the judge said, is there a reason you didn't bring this up last week? He said he was unaware that that his employer did not provide a benefit. So there was that issue. There was another issue involving Brandon Boudreaux, who was there to observe the opening statements. Of course, this trial is not about a shooting on his life. This is about Charles Vallow's death. But the prosecution asked if he could stay in the courtroom. He is a witness. He's listed on Lori's list as a witness, but he was never served a subpoena. And the judge had to ask her, what is the relevant information he has pertaining to your case? They went into a sidebar where they all put on their headphones. Lori did, the prosecution did, and the judge to discuss this. Brandon then had to be walked out for a brief moment and brought back in, and then the judge ruled that Brandon could stay. He struck him from the witness list without prejudice, meaning he can bring it back up again if he feels that it's important. If Brandon can testify to things as pertaining to the case, he could get called. But for now, he can be in the courtroom. Well, then, finally, after, I don't know, an hour, a little over an hour of delays, the prosecution gave their opening statement. And Trina Kay did it. It was about an hour, 40 minutes to an hour. I have to double check the exact timing. And she testified that Lori felt that she needed to do as Nephi would do. Nephi being a prophet from the Book of Mormon who was instructed to kill a man in the Book of Mormon. And she talked about how the jurors will see text messages between Lori. They will hear from witnesses who, including Adam Cox, who had come to Phoenix to help do some sort of intervention for his sister who had been talking about things concerning Charles. We will hear from detectives. We will hear from the medical examiner. An interesting person we will hear from is a woman who went on a date with Charles the night before he was killed. She will testify that Charles, according to Trina Kay, that Charles told her all about his quote-unquote crazy wife, the life insurance policy, the beneficiary being changed. Charles had apparently told this woman, Nancy Joe, all of this stuff. And then after July 11th, he ghosted her. And she thought, oh, I must have done something, or he doesn't like me anymore, whatever she thought. She didn't realize that he had been killed until she actually saw the news. So she's going to testify in this trial. You're also going to hear from the detectives who responded to the case. There's body camera footage. The firearms expert who will testify about the trajectory of the bullets that Charles Vallow was shot in his chest. One interesting point Trina Kay made is that there was no other blood in the home that day other than the blood pooling beneath Charles's body. Alex Cox didn't have any blood on his hand, on his face. There were no towels that had blood on them. There were no drips throughout the house. She is making the argument that if it really was self-defense, why wasn't he bleeding? Why wasn't there a scene, something with Alex's? Instead, she says it was staged. And she talks about how Lori Vallow left the house, called Alex, I believe, 3 minutes after she left the home. They then spoke again 17 minutes later, and then called 911. So that's what happened this morning after lunch. Lunch ends around 1:30 Arizona time, so that's 2:30 in Idaho. Then Lori Vallow will give her opening statement, and she has said she wants to give one today. It's her option. She could wait and give one after the state rests, but she wants to do it now. So she will give her opening statement, and then we will see who or which witnesses the state calls. Kay Woodcock is here. Brandon Boudreaux is here. Jerry Vallow, Charles's brother, is here. Let's see, who else is in the courtroom? There's Rex Connor, Lori's uncle, is in the courtroom with some of his daughters, and a couple of other extended family members, I believe, are here. The courtroom is packed. Every seat is taken. In fact, there were some people who weren't able to get in this morning, and I predict that might be how it goes the next few days, few weeks. And then a lot of media. All the media seats are packed. There's national media, local media, and stuff like that. So I'm gonna head back inside. I wanted to come down and, give you an update, gonna go grab some lunch. Jordan is making sure all the video feed gets to you. We realize there might be some issues with sound or the camera work. That's not on us. Court TV is the pool camera, and it's always day one. So they're gonna work on getting those kinks worked out. One thing that helps if you're having a problem hearing is putting in earbuds or earphones. That often helps if you can kind of isolate the sound in there. But if you didn't have a chance to watch, I'm doing written updates on my X account, also on eastidahonews.com. And then tonight, please join me for Courtroom Insider. I'll break it all down, the first day of the trial and the first day of many, as we will see. So here's a quick glance outside the courthouse. Beautiful day in Phoenix, probably in the 80s, maybe the 90s. Not 90s, 80s. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful area. Okay, so I am going to head inside now, and we'll keep you updated. I'm Nate Eaton for East Idaho News. Thanks for watching.
I actually like how this looks now. Luckily, I've got until Friday to work it all out. Da-da-da. 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 Do. Do. What, baby? No. Just making sounds. How are you? How's your TV? Oh, for your murder mystery? It's okay. Sometimes we don't always know exactly who it is.
Happy? It was. Yes. You know when like shitty in the most legal way possible,
Mm-hmm.
and you just don't think that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened. Because what she did is she went into the White House and she's like, I don't like anything. I'm not into any of the energy shits. I don't care that this has been here for over 50 years. We're not doing gingerbread houses this year. We're not doing any of these traditions. Fuck all this shit. Fuck all of y'all. And then when it went to shit, lies. And it's like, y'all did this. It's your fault that this happened. What the fuck? It's like, ruined everything. Then she's like, oh, I'm cool with everyone. I'm just fine. I don't really hate you. They know I'm. And I'm like, you're the worst person. I hate you. Worse. Everybody hates you. Parents hate you. Like it. I don't know. Yeah, so I found out she's murdered, and she's like overly rich, hardcore.
Mm.
But she killed him anyway because it was just even just it. It
Damn.
was like, who cares? She clearly killed him with a mindset of like, I have lawyers that are gonna take care of this problem for me.
Why did she kill him? The lawyers were gonna take care of the problem.
No, the problem of her killing. Like she ripped out a note from his journal that's suicide thing, and then she decided suicide. Oh yeah, I could just kill. Like that's all it took for her to decide I could just kill this guy.
Why did she kill him?
That's why. Oh, she killed him because he was going to expose everything she's done. But she also did some like illegal shit, and she was doing corporal stuff. She was keeping it from like the president and whatnot, and she also was because rich people steal money. In fact, that's how most rich people exist, by stealing money.
Alright.
Yeah.
Want to see what I have done so far?
Or okay.
Yeah. I'm erasing the white hair inks. Because all I did was duplicate the ink layer and then paint that layer white, and so now I'm erasing what I don't need.
What's your reference for the hair?
The photo
What photo?
that Theo sent me.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
Theo wanted himself as a chibi. The face.
Good.
Yes. It was really flat over here, so I added more
It
little
does feel
hair
a little
strands.
flat on top, is what I was saying. Bad.
Yeah.
It's like
Shit.
top left.
Yeah.
Good.
Trial
Pretty good
finish.
for twist. Like doing
Thank you.
twist. Never drawn this before. Up close, it looks like. I thought you was drawing a weed. At
So
first.
I was just over here drawing pie.
Yeah,
No, that
like
would
she's
just be
finally
drawing
done it.
silver there.
She's finally made the transition. Drawing weed art. Done
I
it.
can draw high art if I wanted to.
Yes. I'm honestly shocked that you never have.
I draw while high.
Yeah.
That's how a lot of random art pieces get fucking fully colored and finished. Is I got high and then I focused.
The other light disturbing you?
I had a headache the other day, so yes, I did take it out.
Darker.
I think I kind of want to get another one of
Regular light?
those light bulbs that change colors.
Oh, with the phone?
Yeah.
That way you can control it when you want it.
Yeah, I can also set it up to a routine so that it will turn off at a specific time. That one's set off to turn it off at 10 p.m.
Oh.
So you don't have to, come in and turn it off.
Not in the... Just in...
Living room's too far.
I like the wall switch. You can just flip.
Alright, we're done. We did it. Airplane. Oh.
Woohoo, yeah.
Give me a kiss. What are you, a baby learning to kiss?
That is actually a very accurate reference because I've held babies like kiss.
Yeah, I remember asking Crystal for kisses when she was a toddler.
And I'm
like
like,
baby
just know
toddler, and it
what
was
I'm doing is like, they think it's funny to not do what you're doing. And then for the first time in your life, you have a thought, if this baby doesn't kiss me, I will punch him. And then you're like, I guess I'm not a pedophile.
I just
I
go,
wanna punch a baby. I might be something worse. Wait, is that worse? That's not worse. Nope, not worse. I think punching a baby is not as bad. This is a hot take. Punching a baby is not as bad as being attracted to.
Nice to know.
That's
The mic
my
is
hot
on.
take. That's my hot take. Yeah. Get me canceled. Shouldn't do either. Pick.
You would punch the baby.
Punch the baby.
You would indeed punch a
Punch the
baby.
And I'd look it right in the eyes if I could get it to focus. Right.
Alright, I love you. Bye.